Josslyn's dangerous lie, and Carly gets the shock of her life. Oh, honey, pull up a chair and hold on tight, because what is unfolding around Josslyn right now is one of the most layered, most consequential, and most genuinely thrilling storylines this show has built in a very long time. This young woman walked into the most dangerous situation imaginable, came out the other side as someone who changed the entire course of events, and now she is making a decision that is going to follow her for years. Possibly forever. Let us start at the beginning of how we got here. Josslyn was shot. She was wounded, frightened, pushed to the absolute edge of what a human body and spirit can endure inside those walls at Windermere. And instead of waiting to be saved, instead of lying there hoping someone would reach her in time, Josslyn crawled. She pulled herself across the floor with everything she had left. She got to that weapon. And she aimed at Ross, and she ended his reign of terror permanently. That is not the act of someone who stumbled into this world by accident. That is someone operating on pure instinct, training, and an iron will that most people twice her age do not possess. And Z, standing in the aftermath of everything that happened on Spoon Island, saw exactly that. He was impressed in the way that only someone who has spent a lifetime evaluating people in extreme situations can be impressed. He recognized what Josslyn is, what she is capable of, and he is not about to let that walk out the door. But here is where it gets complicated in a way that is going to make your stomach tighten. Because Josslyn made a deal. A real deal, with real terms and real consequences attached. In exchange for securing Jason and Valentine's freedom, she agreed to something that sits very uncomfortably. She agreed to lie in her official statement. To pin the Cold Fusion project and everything surrounding it on Cassius. To make Ross look like the man who tried to stop it rather than the man who orchestrated it. Think about what that means for a moment. Cassius, whatever his faults, whatever the complicated truth of who he was and what he did, is going to be remembered officially as the villain of this entire story. His name is going to carry the weight of crimes that were not entirely his. And the people who loved him, the people who are already grieving him, are going to be living with a version of events that is simply not true. Josslyn made that choice. Deliberately. Knowing what it cost. Weighing it against what she got in return, and deciding that bringing Jason and Valentine home was worth it. That is not the thinking of a girl. That is the cold, clear calculus of someone who understands exactly how this world operates and has accepted the moral weight of operating inside it. Now, Carly. Oh, Carly. She is still out here fighting with every weapon she has to pull her daughter out of this world entirely. She marches up to Z absolutely loaded for bear, demanding that Josslyn be released from her duties, certain that she can out-argue and outwill the most powerful man in global intelligence if she just pushes hard enough. And then Z does something that nobody saw coming. He hits on her. Right there in the middle of what Carly intended as a serious confrontation, this man, this powerful and apparently entirely too confident man, makes a personal move toward her. Carly's response is immediate and completely Carly. She slaps him across the face. No hesitation. No second thoughts. Just a clean, decisive, you absolutely should have known better slap that is going to have every woman watching this show absolutely cheering from their living rooms. But here's the twist. Z, rather than being put off by any of this, may actually find himself more intrigued by Carly than before. And Z, it appears, is perfectly capable of telling Carly one thing while quietly doing something else entirely. He may appear to comply with her demands on the surface, while keeping Josslyn exactly where he wants her underneath. The writers themselves have said that Josslyn is walking into a lie that will have consequences stretching out for years to come. That is not a small thing. That is a defining chapter in who this young woman is going to become. Liesl reaches her breaking point, and the dark side comes calling. Now, darlings, let us talk about Liesl, because this woman has been through more in the past several weeks than most people endure in a lifetime. And she has been handling it with a level of grace and restraint that frankly does not come naturally to her. But every person has a limit. Every heart has a breaking point. And Liesl is approaching hers with terrifying speed. Let us map out everything that has been dropped on this woman in a very short period of time. She was kidnapped, held against her will, forced to complete a project she found morally repugnant. And during all of that, she discovered that the son she had built a whole new relationship around, the man she welcomed back into her life with such cautious, careful joy, was not Nathan. He was Cassius, Nathan's twin, a man her own sister gave away decades ago in a secret that nobody thought to share with Liesl until it was impossible to hide any longer. She grieved Nathan all over again. She processed the identity of the man who had actually been with her. She found a way to accept Cassius for who he was rather than who she had believed him to be. And then Cassius was gone too. Now Liesl is also sitting across from Britt, her daughter, her complicated, secretive, deeply loved daughter, and trying to understand how someone who loves her could have known so many things and said so little for so long. That confrontation was raw and painful, and left things between them fractured in a way that is not going to heal quickly. So Liesl is without both her sons, at odds with her daughter, grieving in layers that just keep compounding on top of each other. And then, as if all of that was not enough, she's going to find out about the lie. Josslyn's official statement. The version of events that is going to travel through official channels and become the story the world tells about what happened. The version that paints Cassius as the architect of the cold fusion project. The version that takes a man who showed genuine moments of humanity and warmth, who bonded with a child and tried in his own complicated way to do right by the people around him, and stamps the word villain across his legacy permanently. When Liesl finds out that Cassius is being made into the scapegoat for crimes he did not fully commit, and that Josslyn is the one who put her name to that story, the reaction is not going to be quiet or measured or graceful. Liesl is going to be furious in a way that shakes the walls. And fury like that in a woman like Liesl does not simply dissipate. It looks for somewhere to go. She has a history. A long and well-documented history of letting her darkest impulses take over when the pain gets too big and the injustice feels too personal. She spent years doing terrible things because she convinced herself the ends justified the means. And now, surrounded by grief and betrayal and watching the memory of someone she loved be deliberately destroyed, that old road is going to start calling to her again. The writers are clearly laying the foundation for Liesl to make a turn, to slide back toward the version of herself that Port Charles has very good reason to be afraid of. And the tragedy of it is that every single thing driving her there is rooted in genuine love and genuine loss. This is not villainy born from selfishness. This is a woman whose heart has been broken too many times in too short a span, and who does not know any other way to fight back. Watching Liesl walk toward that darkness is going to be equal parts heartbreaking and riveting. And the people in Port Charles who care about her had better start paying attention before she goes somewhere she cannot come back from. Vaughn is back, and Josslyn's world just got even more complicated. And now, darlings, we arrive at the piece of this week's story that is going to send the romantic side of this fan base absolutely spinning. Because in the middle of all the chaos on Spoon Island, Cullum gone, the cold fusion nightmare finally over, Josslyn wounded and barely standing, someone walked back into the picture that Josslyn had not seen in a very long time. Vaughn is back. Now, if you need a quick reminder, Vaughn and Josslyn had something real before he was pulled away on assignment. Something that mattered to both of them. Something that did not get a proper ending so much as an abrupt interruption. And now he has returned to Port Charles to find Josslyn shot, recovering, and standing in the middle of the biggest professional moment of her life. They have not reconnected yet. The chaos of everything happening around them has not allowed for that. But it is coming. And when it does, the question of what Josslyn and Vaughn are to each other now, after everything that has changed, after everything she has become, is going to be one of the most emotionally rich conversations this storyline produces. Because Josslyn is not the same person Vaughn left behind. She has grown into this work in a way that has fundamentally shaped her. She told Z herself that being an agent is intoxicating, and she meant it. She is not doing this reluctantly or because she was pressured into it. She loves it. She is good at it. And she is not walking away. If Vaughn is also staying, if both of them are committed to this world and this work, then the possibility of them building something together inside that life becomes very real. two agents who understand what this career demands, who have already proven they care about each other, navigating the most high-stakes environment imaginable together. That is a partnership with extraordinary potential. But it also comes with extraordinary risk. Because the moment anyone in this world figures out that Vaughn and Josslyn matter to each other, those feelings become leverage. They become a vulnerability that the wrong people will not hesitate to exploit. Loving someone in this business is not just a personal matter, it is a tactical exposure. And both of them are sharp enough to understand that. Carly, meanwhile, is watching all of this from the outside, unable to control any of it, unable to pull her daughter back from a life she has fully chosen, and now potentially tangled up in her own unexpected dynamic with Z that nobody, including Carly herself, has fully figured out yet. The idea of a third WSB man entering Carly's orbit in any capacity is enough to make your head spin, but this show has always loved putting Carly in situations where her heart and her fury are pointed in the same direction. Josslyn is not a girl anymore. She is an agent. A good one. A brave one. A young woman who crawled across a floor with a bullet in her and made the shot that changed everything. And whether Carly can find a way to accept that, to let go of the daughter she is desperately trying to protect and see the woman Josslyn has actually become, is going to be the emotional core of this storyline for a long time to come. The lie Josslyn committed to is already woven into the official record. Liesl is heading toward a darkness that nobody around her is ready for. Vaughn is back and everything between him and Josslyn is charged and unresolved. And Carly is standing in the middle of all of it, slap on her hand, heart on her sleeve, absolutely refusing to accept that this is how things are. Port Charles is a city on fire this summer, darlings. Every single storyline is burning bright and heading somewhere unexpected. And you absolutely cannot afford to miss a single moment of where all of this goes next.